All right, my dear friend, welcome back in studio. How are you?
Good, thanks yourself.
Awesome. I'm doing really great. In today's episode, whatever you want to call these little encounters, whatever. It's so much fun having you here, and there's always valuable insight that's just being exchanged. So I think for everybody watching today, we want to unpack the 5 different types of apps we believe, at least, that every single Shopify store needs. And I think it's going to be very interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of value in it for you. So if you do enjoy content like this that's related to marketing and business, then please like and subscribe in order to be notified about more episodes and videos like this. So Jason, my friend, where do we start when it comes to must-have Shopify apps?
Yeah, so, I think we've picked the top 5 Shopify app themes to talk about today. The first one that I think we can touch on is bulk discounting. And I think it's, from a discounting perspective, Shopify concentrates on your most generic discounts out there.
What do you mean?
So from a generic discount, it's, I start a discount at a specific date or time. It's a product discount or an order discount or a shipping discount, but there's no flexibility or massive flexibility in those discounts.
What would you want to see in terms of flexibility?
So massive flexibility in discounts could be tiered-based discounts. What we do a lot on our stores is like a buy one, get one free. But when it comes to flexibility, Shopify doesn't allow you to do certain things that these apps, or these third-party apps, should I say, that specialize in discounting allow you to do. So, for instance, you could look at a specific product or category. You can discount in a tiered manner, in a flexible manner, should I say. And you can customize it totally the way that you want to customize it.
So essentially what you're saying is the traditional discount on Shopify in terms of features is very linear, which allows you to discount categories, products, and shipping, for example, and you can do some discount codes. You want something a bit more flexible, which can include things like buy one, get one, maybe some added value. Is there anything else that comes to mind as a practical example that someone might want to experiment with?
I think the most valued discounting structures at the moment is your buy one, get one frees and your tiered discounting structures.
A tiered discounting structure in terms of what exactly? Are you saying buy one, pay normal price, buy two, get 10% off?
Correct, yeah. So buy one, get at normal price, buy two, get 10% off, buy three, get 40% off, buy four, get one for free, etc., etc.
So in a nutshell, it's basically just allowing you to be more creative with the offers.
Correct.
And you've got the tech to support those creativeness.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's where a lot of people fall short, is that they have these brilliant ideas on how to stand out or be unique in terms of the marketplace, in terms of offers, but they don't have the technical assistance from a Shopify or even a WooCommerce. Essentially, it's like you have to go and find something that is a bit more agile and a bit more customized to the actual needs of the creative processes of the business.
Yeah, so as I said around flexibility, right? So Shopify will give you very linear type discounting. Switch it on at this time, switch it off at this time, use an automatic discount, use a manual discount. What's nice about third-party apps that specialize in discounting is that they offer you themes. So it actually gets your creative juices working when you see these themes and go, oh, by the way, I can actually do discount X, Y, and Z.
Themes like examples?
Themes are pre-made templates,
okay.
if you call it that.
Beautiful. Okay, cool.
So you would never know that a certain discount was actually possible until you actually saw the theme, because they build in many discounting types into a theme. So you could offer between this date and that date a specific discount for a specific product set, which is a lot more flexible in the way that you do your discounting than what Shopify would be able to offer you.
We can talk a little bit about specific apps, but I think a lot of different apps work in different ways. And one app is not a fit all to every single business and online store out there, depending on obviously the amount of products that people have and whether they're drop shipping or shipping locally or whatever it is. So from that perspective, what do people have to search for when it comes to finding these apps?
So if you go to the Shopify App Store and you type in advanced discounting, it will present you with a multitude of different discounting apps, and obviously it needs to match your budget, do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Different apps to do different things.
So what you're saying is just trial and error.
Correct.
Cool. Yeah. So that's number one, is advanced discounting apps. Every single business should, use something like that, especially if they want to get creative with their offers. Number one. What's number two?
Number two is bulk product editing. And I think this is one of my favorite types of apps to have on stores, right? So you're not going to go catch me going to change 1,000 products, click, 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 click. I'll rather sit with a product advanced editing app and rather script exactly what needs to happen.
And when it needs to happen.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people spend a lot of time editing maybe the category pricing or doing a was and a after price.
Correct.
For a specific special that they want to run, or when you've updated hypothetically your brand in some way and you need to now add all the new product picks, for example. What other things can one do? Adding tags.
There's lots. So you can add and remove tags on a few thousand products in a run. What I use it a lot for is compare at prices and cost pricing and a presented price. Also adding in variants. So adding and removing variants, changing variant names. So, variants are very, very tricky creatures. And, if you want to do bulk changes across specific variants, you can run a lookalike on a specific variant, go and find all those variants that are associated to that lookalike, and you can go and replace with certain text and pricing. The world is your oyster. Anything to do with products, from a tax perspective, from a pricing perspective, from a fulfillment perspective, from a variant perspective, from a cost price perspective, you can do everything with that.
Yeah. So basically just a tool that allows you to save a lot of time, energy, and money.
Correct. And I don't have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or at 12 o'clock at night to go and schedule price changes, right? So if I know that we're running a special between the 1st and the 3rd, and I know that it starts at midnight, I start the scripts at 1:45.
Nice.
And on each of those variants, I start them 5-10 minutes after each other. And by the time 12 o'clock comes, the presented pricing is the way that we want it.
Amazing. I think so. We've got advanced discounting, we've got advanced or bulk editing. Both those will save you a lot of time and headaches. I think, at least from my point of view, a third thing that a lot of people don't really think about is a finance tracker app, or a plugin that allows you to measure what's actually happening with the money that you're investing in marketing. What amount of money are you actually spending on transaction fees and fulfillment? And did you actually make a profit yesterday? Did that marketing initiative, that little creative spark that you had about spending X and getting X free, how did that actually do for the business in terms of profitability? I think a lot of business owners can't measure the actual success of an offer or an idea in real time. So what happens is it's 30 or 40 days after the month have passed, you get a balance sheet from an accountant who said, hey, you've spent this, you've made this, but it's very difficult to really tie in what you did 30 days ago and how it actually affected revenue and profit on a daily basis. So an app, and I'll happily share the name of this app, I won't gatekeep it, and that is BeProfit. I think we use BeProfit on all of our stores that we own, but we also advise it for clients and people who want to get a bit of a pulse of the financial health of the business and how marketing and the different things that you spend money on, and how marketing and all the different things that you spend money on actually impacts the bottom line. You can literally see yesterday's net profit and the margin. You can see what you spent on fulfillment. You can see what you spent on transaction fees. You can see which payment gateway is charging you and how much it's actually costing you on a monthly basis. Because you might say, yeah, I know they're charging me 3%, but what does it actually accumulate to, after 30 days or 60 days or 90 days? And I think by having your finger on the pulse when it comes to these metrics, you can then start to optimize the back end of your business as well as the front end in order to run a more profitable business, because these will highlight the different areas that actually need attention. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I call it an aggregation platform on steroids.
Yeah, and I'll ask what you think purely because in the beginning you weren't overly excited about it way I was.
I'm more of a cowboy than you are, but
Yeah.
I mean,
You're like, we're spending so much money. Because it can get quite expensive.
It can, yeah. And while you're scaling, right, you're spending a lot more money, and you go, well, where did I kind of spend that? Or it's a good indication what we're spending on marketing and the return that we're getting on marketing
in
as
real
well.
time.
And in real time.
Yeah, because the
correct.
thing is, we can look at the last 7 days and how marketing is impacting our bottom line, and then decide what percentage of the profit that we've made in the last 7 days we want to reinvest. And I think a lot of businesses, the actual time it takes to actually get to the nitty-gritty of what happened in terms of finances is delayed. So there's this delayed window of what did you do and how did it actually impact the business. I think BeProfit just allows you to understand that in real time, and that's one of the reasons I want to at least say why we've managed to grow the businesses that we have so quickly, because of the fact that we keep our finger on the pulse on a daily basis. We can literally see how what we're doing is impacting profitability and then pivot and change accordingly. So if you can see the last 4 days that things are not working profit-wise, then change it up. Why do you need to run for another 30 days or 60 days before you make that decision?
I think a lot of young store owners live in a hypothetical world, right? Where they go, yeah, I'm 35% margin.
Yeah, on
But
average.
really, is it?
And they assume that the next 30
margin.
They assume that the next 30 days is also going to have a 35% margin.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what I really love about BeProfit is that I can jump on to the orders tab, and per line item order, it will tell us exactly what our gross profit margin is, our net profit margin, and you can very, very quickly see where, if you've like edited shipping, for instance, how your profit margins either increase or drop over the spectrum and per order.
Yeah.
Again, most people live in this hypothetical world where, because they're making certain amount of money doesn't mean that your advertising is tweaked to the way that it should be. So that's one of the features I really, really like. The second feature that I like is that you can add additional cost base to BeProfit that Shopify don't keep. So for instance, like handling fees, we look after a few stores on our side from a fulfillment perspective, and for those stores to be in our realm, be it in our warehousing for packaging and for courier, what we call like a third-party logistics system, we charge them a handling fee, and that's built directly into our profiting program, right? So our finance program, which is BeProfit. So I can go and add in a handling fee over and above the cost of sales, or what BeProfit calls cost of goods sold. And that is a totally separate cost line item that you can go track on a monthly basis and go, oh, okay, cool. So, company A, when I'm tracking their profitability, their cost of goods sold is plus that handling fee on top of it, which allows us to track really, really cool stuff out of that. So,
100%. I think it's just oversight and maybe a bit of naivety or ignorance, essentially, that not a lot of people have a lot of urgency to use softwares like this and tracking mechanisms like this, which is very sad, because without it, you're going to take a lot longer in scaling your business, period. It's just because you don't have real-time data in order to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think the other thing is, we've got 3 things now. We've got our discounting apps, we've got our bulk editing apps, we've got a finance tracker. We've got 2 more. One that I see that you've listed is flow apps, and that gets me a little bit curious, because I wasn't 100% sure what you mean by that. So What do you mean by using flow apps?
So from a flow apps perspective, I've actually grown to love it, right? I never used to use it. Shopify's actually got an app built in called Shopify Flow, and we use a third party as well in conjunction with Shopify Flow. So basically what a flow app does, it's a workflow management app. So I can go any order that has a specific product in it at a specific price, please tag it on order fulfillment and tag it fast track. And what it will do is it will go and identify orders that come in that's been paid for. It has that product at that specific price point, and it will go and push out a workflow endpoint, right? And that workflow endpoint will tag the order on the front end with fast track. And that's just one of many things. So the next thing is that if an order sits for X amount of days, send an email out to the client and say, your order's now in production, or different steps of the order journey. If a client subscribes, opt him into a marketing channel or de-opt a client. It's a totally automated, autonomous...
I think it just sounds like automation, basically. Is that how you sum it up?
Fully automated. So it's tasks that you would do on a daily basis, which you can automate.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm sitting here going, how do you actually package this that someone can understand? Because you can give them real life examples, but someone needs to understand how they can take that and actually apply it to their own business. So it's basically in a task automation app, all the different things that you would have had to do on a micro task level. For example, order comes in, send this, do that, let this person know. You can basically automate all
Correct.
of that. It's almost like do you know Zapier?
Yeah, it's a workflow management.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically Zapier but for Shopify.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a nice way to sum it
up. I'm starting to love workflow management apps. We've solved many issues, like from a tagging perspective. So we used to use tagging managers, that if a certain order came in and you tag it X, Y, and Z, I find that a flow app does everything and tagging included, right? So tagging is just one tiny little % of what that app can do.
Yeah.
But it can integrate into external marketing software. It can kick off workflow processes, emails, fulfillments. It can cancel orders so it can delete orders that are canceled. So Shopify, one big thing about Shopify is that if an order comes through as a bank transfer, for instance, a manual payment, and it's a waiting payment, and that payment goes into like a lapse. So we set our payments to expire after X amount of days of no payment because it's false revenue. What Shopify does is it cancels that order, but it stays in a cancelled state and still sees it as revenue that's kind of there.
Yeah, because I think we had that conversation because I got like a little bit frustrated, not with anybody, but with the situation, because it's like, it looks like we've made revenue, which means it looks like we've made a certain amount of profit. But then when you go back into Shopify, you can see that there's orders that's
in minus.
Yeah, that's never been paid.
Yeah.
And then you have to go manually, sort it out.
Go and sort it out. So what I did was I said, right, then if an order goes into a cancelled state, there's no point in us keeping it. And we go, any order that goes into a cancelled state needs to be deleted.
Yeah.
And we delete those orders. So it actually doesn't show as a positive or a negative, because as Shopify cancels an order, it will actually show minus the amount, which is also not right. So, so there's many different things that you can achieve. I mean, it also gives you different scenarios. So you can go and type in a certain scenario into a flow app, and it will give you the best way of doing that scenario.
And that brings us basically to the last type of app. And I think this is almost the most important one.
I agree.
Because trust is such a big thing in the e-commerce realm, is that what a lot of people don't understand is that it's not the trust in the product. What a lot of people do is they go, well, I sell iPhones. Everybody trusts iPhone and Apple. In theory, you are correct, but we live in a world where people want trust in who they're buying it from and not so much trust in the product that they're buying. Because, yes, you can convince someone that the product is good quality. And, yes, that is a big barrier to entry. It's getting people to trust that the value of the product is, what it is, and the price is justified. But the biggest concern is, can I actually trust that I'm spending money with the right company that's not going to bullshit me, that's not going to scam me, and is the company legit? Is the people behind the company actually real people? And I think this is where reviews make such a big difference.
Yes.
And I think that is the last type of app that people should use. I mean, Shopify has its default review system, but maybe we can touch on why reviews are so important outside of what I just discussed, but then also what you can do with certain review apps that is just a lot more powerful than the default review system that you get from Shopify.
Yeah. So I think we got that right from day one on our stores, is reviews, right? And it's vitally, vitally important to have reviews early on in the game. It creates trust. And as you said, trust is a big thing, specifically in South Africa. So we use a specific review app on our store, which is also automated. It knows to send out review emails to customers that have bought, that products have been fulfilled and delivered to, and it will ask them for a review, and you can incentivize them as well. So if they submit a review, they get X amount benefit back. If they submit a review with pictures, they can get a bit more back, or you can switch off discounting totally off. I think, when you go onto a website and you see 10,000 reviews with pictures, it's unbelievable. It's an instant trust that you'll make with that brand. So I mean, that's my opinion on our review app. Another point that I just wanted to bring up, and there's a few stores that I've consulted to, and I've noticed that they've used like review apps that aren't like kind of mainstream, right? And it actually, to me, I find it more difficult working with non-mainstream apps than, you get your top apps that have, the thousands of reviews for that review app that people have used, or download, should we call it. And you sit, trying to move them over to a qualified, in inverted commas, review app that, people know and trust. And it's physically impossible. When that client has, 15,000, 20,000 reviews, different apps use different endpoints within Shopify. So some will use like product handles, some will use product ID, and that's what brings in the picture of the product that person has bought.
So it basically makes it complicated to export and import.
Correct. So there's a handful of the top tiered apps that stick to product ID, and it's vitally important that you stick to one methodology instead of trying to move over from multiple methodologies.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's a reason why review apps have an import and an export function. Things change, and you want to be able to move to an app. So for whatever reason, an app goes down and under, or the pricing is not, in line with other review apps, that it may have changed, or companies buy each other, and and I'm talking specific review apps. And this is what's happened in the past, where there was an acquisition of a review app, it changed, it didn't work for us, and we wanted to move it over, and it's very, very difficult to extrapolate a product handle to product ID. You start having to go into deep data to go and get that, just to fix something that should have been taken care of. I'm not sure what your feeling is on review apps, the validity of review apps.
I just think that everybody needs an app that, one, can communicate with the customer quite efficiently and effectively, where they prompt that they would want to review the product that they bought, maybe incentivizing them to do so, having certain email flows or direct messaging opportunities in order to get those people to actually review the actual product that they bought. I think that's the most crucial part about review apps to me. And then having someone take a picture of it and showcasing the actual picture alongside the review, that's another big feature that I think is super crucial, that a lot of people overlook, because everybody just wants the 5 stars with a name on it. But what you actually want is someone's name, maybe even a profile picture if that's possible, or an actual photo, and then an actual story behind the purchase and what they felt before buying and what they felt after buying, because that makes the whole review so much more credible as opposed to just having 5 stars that says John, because anybody can fake reviews.
Yeah.
So you want to have reviews on your store that basically indicates that this is true and couldn't have been faked, because there's just too much to consider at the end of the day. And I feel most people just have the standard 5 stars with a name, and that's not enough, because anybody can just go and write it, and consumers are picking up on that. But like you said, you want a review app also that is versatile in terms of importing and exporting, purely because you don't want to be held hostage. Nobody wants to be held hostage on a specific software platform or app anymore. And the world changes and people want to be agile. So ideally you want to look into that. And that's really all I have to say.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there we have the 5 different types of apps you need for your business if you really want to flourish, if you really want to take things to a whole new level. We have discounting app. We have an advanced bulk editing app. We have a finance tracker app. We have the Flow app, which is a task automation software tool that can help you automate a bunch of your tasks, saving you a ton of time and a ton of money. And then lastly, but most importantly, a really, really good review app that can allow you to get bulk reviews back from customers, as opposed to having to force them to review. You need to also incentivize those reviews, but then having the tech to support all the creative ideas around getting reviews. And there you have it. I hope this was valuable to you. And Jason, thanks for joining us today again.
Pleasure.
All the best. Cheers.